safe housing for all, and Wednesday, NHS and social care. I shall first call Shailesh Vara to move, and then Catherine Fletcher to the second the Honourable Address. So, Shailesh Vara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that a humble address be presented to Her Majesty as follows. Most gracious Sovereign, we, Your Majesty's most dutiful and loyal subjects, the Commons of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, in Parliament assembled, beg leave to offer our humble thanks to Your Majesty for the gracious speech which Your Majesty has addressed to both Houses of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, it is indeed a great honour and privilege for me and my constituents to move the loyal address, especially in this, Her Majesty's 96th year. Her Majesty's commitment and dedication to service of our nation is an example to all of us. Given Her Majesty's age, may I say that by comparison, the rest of us are no more than mid-career. May I also take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to welcome our new colleague to the House, my right honourable member, the member for Hartlepool, with whom I, for one, very much look forward to working with. Mr. Speaker, we meet at a time unprecedented in our history, a time when there is a dark shadow over not only our country, but across the globe, as we deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Far too many lives have been lost and far too many people have suffered, both in the UK and across the world. When this is over, and it will be, at some point, the family of nations must work together so that if something similar happens again in the future, we are better prepared. The heartbreaking scenes on our television screens from India are a constant reminder that no one is safe until we are all safe. Sadly, there are similar outbreaks in other countries too, such as Nepal, Thailand and Cambodia. As we continue our own fight against the virus, I'm pleased that we have been able to offer help to others. We were the first country in the world to provide India with practical help, sending vital medical equipment to save precious lives. And it is good that the UK has committed £548 million to the global COVAX initiative. Mr. Speaker, over the past year, new speaking arrangements have meant that often when members put in to speak, they don't get called. Or if they are called, they have no more than about 3 minutes to say their piece. Mindful of the 17 speeches that I was unable to give, Mr. Speaker, and mindful of the broad nature of the gracious speech and the fact that there is no time limit on me today, I would like to put on the record those 17 speeches. On second thoughts, Mr. Speaker, that look in your eye tells me that perhaps I better save it for another day, when I very much hope that I will be called. Today, Mr. Speaker, marks the 11th anniversary of the Conservative Lib Dem coalition being formed in 2010. Since then, the Conservatives have cemented their position as the party of government, Labour as the party of protest, and the Lib Dems as a party that can all gather in this chamber and still maintain social distancing. Mr. Speaker, when the Chief Whip asked me to propose the gracious speech, as well as being hugely honoured, I also felt a sense of humility. All of us have had our own individual journeys in being elected to this House. In my case, I was born in Uganda at a time when Uganda was still part of the British Empire. My family came here in the early 60s, when I was still a young child, unable to speak a word of English. We settled in a deprived area in inner-city Birmingham, where I went to a local primary school, and my father worked as a joiner on building sites. Mr. Speaker, those were tough times. It was legal to discriminate against people on grounds of race, and people did. Racial intolerance and prejudice was rife, and the Prime Minister of the day was Harold Wilson, leading a Labour government. Getting elected to Parliament was not without incident. When I was a candidate in 2000 in Northampton South, the sitting Labour MP, Tony Clark, tried to use my race and my Hindu faith against me in his efforts to get re-elected. Not surprisingly, he was roundly criticised in the national media. On the subject of my faith, Mr. Speaker, there is a memorable moment that I have from when I was a Northern Ireland minister before I resigned over Brexit. I recall one particular visit in Belfast when I was with a group of people and we were discussing each other's faiths. When I mentioned that I was a Hindu, a kindly-looking gentleman smiled and asked me, "Mr. Vara, would that be a Protestant Hindu or a Catholic Hindu?" Fortunately for me, we were distracted by the barman who brought another round of drinks. It has been a real privilege to serve the people of North West Cambridgeshire since 2005. And it is because they selected me that I was able to be the Conservative Party's first non-white minister in the House of Commons and the party's first non-white person to speak from that dispatch box. The point I'm making, Mr. Speaker, is very simple. For someone with my background to be proposing the loyal address shows what a truly great and magnificent country we all live in. North West Cambridgeshire